I know we haven't even hit the preseason yet, but Dolphins fans, it's never too early to start looking ahead to week one because Miami's first opponent, the Indianapolis Colts, and already there's some uncertainty that could give the Dolphins an edge or raise a few questions. Just this week, a surprising update came out from Indianapolis. They released their first unofficial depth chart, and believe it or not, they still haven't named a starting quarterback. That's right. Even this close to their first preseason game, the Colts have Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson listed as QB1. No commitment, no clarity. And from a Miami Dolphins point of view, that's tricky. Because how do you game plan for an offense when you don't even know who the starting quarterback is? Sure, coaches always say they're focused on evaluating their own roster in the preseason, and that's true. But let's be honest, that week one game against the Colts, it's already in the back of the coaching staff's minds. And if you're new here, before we dive into the latest Dolphins updates, make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss any breaking news, film breakdowns, or updates leading into week one. All right, let's move on to the big story. Miami's new defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver, is no rookie. You can bet he's already drawing up ideas to attack either quarterback, whether it's a seasoned pro like Daniel Jones or a dynamic, unpredictable athlete like Richardson. And while the Colts are keeping things quiet, we're doing our homework too, tracking training camp whispers, insider reports, and everything that could give Miami a competitive edge. We'll break down the strengths and weaknesses of both quarterbacks and talk about why this week one matchup might be more important than people think for the Dolphins' tone-setting start to the season. The Miami Dolphins are set to kick off their season against the Indianapolis Colts. But here's the big question. Who's going to be under center for Indy in week one? From what we've seen in Colts training camp, Anthony Richardson seems to have a slight edge over Daniel Jones. Richardson, the former first-round pick, has been making some impressive throws and dynamic plays during practice. But Colts head coach Shane Steichen isn't tipping his hand just yet. In fact, he's calling the quarterback battle neck and neck. Both QBs have shown flashes over the last few days, but the Colts are expected to let this competition unfold through the preseason. Now, why does this matter for the Dolphins? Because whoever lines up under center for Indy could seriously affect how Miami's defense prepares. If you're wondering when we'll officially know who the Dolphins will be facing, expect an announcement around late August, likely after the Colts' third preseason game. That would give the chosen QB 2 full weeks to prepare for Miami's defense, which, by the way, is coming off a top 10 finish last season in both sacks and takeaways. Before we break down what each quarterback brings to the table and who gives Miami the better chance to dominate, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss a Dolphins update. Now let's move on to the latest news. Looking at their previous performances, Daniel Jones started 10 games last season for the Giants before being released mid-year. He later landed in Minnesota, but it was clear the Giants had moved on. His decision-making, especially under pressure, remained a concern. Anthony Richardson, on the other hand, started 11 games last season. He's athletic, mobile, and dangerous on broken plays, but still raw and inconsistent with his reads. So who would you rather see Miami go up against in week one? Do you want the Dolphins facing a young, athletic, but inexperienced Richardson? Or a turnover-prone Daniel Jones who struggled so badly he was let go halfway through the season? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because either way, Miami's defense is going to be ready to feast. There's a difference between a quarterback who plays it safe and one who plays to shock you. And when it comes to facing a wild card like Anthony Richardson, defensive coordinators around the league are sweating more than ever. Now, you might look at the raw numbers and think, Daniel Jones actually edges Richardson in completion percentage, QB rating, touchdowns to interceptions. And yes, on paper, that might be true. But football isn't played on a spreadsheet. It's played snap to snap, in chaos, with momentum swinging on a single play. And that's where Anthony Richardson is dangerous. He's not just a runner. He's a detonator. One play, he's underthrowing a checkdown. The next, he's throwing a 60-yard laser on the run while evading 3 defenders. There's no telling which version of him you'll get, and that unpredictability is terrifying because it only takes one play to break a defense. See, here's where the Dolphins come in. If you're Vic Fangio or whoever's calling the shots defensively, you'd much rather prep for a guy like Daniel Jones. You know what he is. Conservative, efficient maybe, but not a game breaker. Not someone who makes your defense nervous. Richardson, he's raw, he's explosive, and most importantly, he's a threat to flip the game in a heartbeat. In fact, when breaking down advanced metrics, like big-time throw percentage and turnover-worthy plays, Richardson actually dwarfs Jones in high-risk, high-reward decisions. That tells you he's not just out there managing games. He's trying to win them with every snap. Yes, he's been injured. Yes, he's inconsistent. But if and when it all clicks for him, he's a walking nightmare for any defense, including the Dolphins. So when Miami eventually lines up against the Colts or any team with Richardson under center, the defense better be ready for fireworks or risk getting burned. When it comes to facing Anthony Richardson, you just don't know what you're going to get. That's what makes him both dangerous and beatable. One moment, he looks like a quarterback who doesn't belong in the league. The next, he flashes potential that reminds you of a top 5 NFL QB. But here's the thing. If you're the Miami Dolphins, do you really fear that? Would you rather go up against a guy who might hit 1 or 2 highlight plays? Or someone you've already seen collapse under your pressure? Let's be honest. Daniel Jones? He's predictable. The checkdowns, the indecision, the inability to stretch the field. That's not scaring anyone in South Florida. At least with Jones, Miami knows what to expect, and that makes him manageable. But Richardson, he's chaos, controlled sometimes, but mostly reckless. And yes, that small 10% of his boom potential is real, but the other 90%? That's exactly where the Dolphins can capitalize. Now, back to Richardson. Let's not forget what happened the last time Miami saw him. It was week 7 last season. The Dolphins were fresh off their bye week. The game? A grind. Miami had a 2-3 record, needing momentum badly. They had the halftime lead, but a Raheem Mostert fumble right after the break let Indianapolis back in, and they never looked back. Final score? 16-10 Colts. But don't let that result fool you. Richardson? He was awful. 10 completions on 24 attempts. 0 touchdowns. QBR of 22.5. He even lost a fumble. He didn't win that game. Miami lost it themselves. That version of Richardson? That's the one Miami should expect again. Raw, inconsistent, and overwhelmed by pressure. Yes, there's always the wild card factor. But unless he's taken a massive leap, and we're talking MVP caliber growth, the Dolphins should feel confident. They've seen what he brings. They've shut it down before. And if he's the starter again, it's time for Miami to turn that ugly memory into revenge. The Dolphins had every chance to win that last matchup, but fumbles told a different story. Raheem Mostert dropped the ball. Alec Ingold too. Miami didn't just lose possession. They lost momentum, control, and eventually, the game. It felt like they were sabotaging themselves in real time. But this time around, things have to be different. Why? Because now, Tua Tagovailoa is back in command. And when Tua's under center, this offense finds its rhythm. Let's be real. Neither of the quarterbacks in Indianapolis strike fear into a defense. They're not built for high pressure, high stakes situations. And that's why, if you're the Miami Dolphins, this game isn't just one you should win. It's one you must win. Week 1 isn't just another game. It's a statement. Yes, the season has 17 games, But the first one, that sets the tone, that builds confidence, that tells every other team in the league, we're not here to play around this year. It's true that winning week one doesn't guarantee the playoffs, but starting strong changes everything. Look at last season. Miami pulled off a gritty comeback win in week one thanks to Jason Sanders' clutch field goal against Jacksonville. It didn't become a Super Bowl year, sure, but that game sent a message. The Dolphins fight. This year, there's even more at stake. The schedule ahead isn't forgiving. So when you're up against a team like the Colts, a team that's still figuring itself out, you take advantage. You don't just aim to win. You dominate. Clean football. No fumbles. No excuses. If Miami wants to be taken seriously this year, it all begins with a statement in week one. The start of the season isn't just important for Miami. It's everything. Because if the Dolphins want to prove they belong among the AFC's elite, the first month will set the tone. Week one, they're facing the Colts, a team still figuring things out. That's a game Miami must win. Then comes the Patriots at home on a Sunday afternoon. That should be another W in the win column. Sure, traveling to Buffalo on a short week for Thursday night football might not go our way. But guess what? After that, Miami gets a mini bye. A week and a half to prepare for a Jets team that's struggling and coming to Hard Rock Stadium in prime time. That's a chance to make a statement. So here's the bottom line. 3-1 needs to happen in the first 4 weeks. No excuses. Heading into October, the Dolphins face the Panthers and Browns, both on the road, both beatable. In fact, both teams could be drafting in the top 10 next year. That puts Miami in position to hit 5-1, just like that. After that, 2 tricky games, the Chargers and the Falcons. But both are either at home or in domes, controlled environments where Miami's speed and precision can shine. Split those two, you're sitting at 6-2. Even if both go south, 5-3 still keeps playoff hope strong. And that's the target. Because the back half of this schedule? Brutal. Weeks 9 through 11 are a gauntlet. Ravens, Bills, and Commanders. 3 potential playoff teams. And while one of those games takes place in Brazil, the other 2, Baltimore and Buffalo, bring serious heat. Miami doesn't have to sweep those matchups. But even going 1-2 would be a win in the big picture. But it all comes back to this. If Miami wants to make the playoffs, if they want Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier to silence the doubters, and if they want to earn a postseason win, then a 6-2 start isn't just a goal, it's the standard. The Miami Dolphins are staring down one of the most imbalanced schedules in the entire NFL. And if they want to make the playoffs in 2025, they have zero room for error early on. Here's the deal. The first 8 games of the season, favorable, winnable. These are the games Miami has to dominate if they want a real shot in January. Let's break it down. In that opening stretch, Miami faces the Colts in week 1, a team in transition. Then come matchups against squads like the Saints and Jets, both beatable with the current roster. If there was ever a time to stack wins, this is it. Because after that, it gets brutal. The final 9 games of the season read like a playoff gauntlet. Road games in freezing Pittsburgh and New England, a tough Tampa Bay squad, and a potential AFC juggernaut in Cincinnati. There's no hiding from this stretch. The Dolphins will be tested in every way. That's why starting 6-2 isn't just a goal, it's a must. Think about it. If Miami goes 6-2 early, they only need to finish 4-5 to hit 10-7. And in today's AFC, 10-7 could be the golden ticket to postseason football. But if they slip, if they go 5-3 or worse, now you're asking this team to go 5-4 in that second half stretch just to reach the same result. That's a much tougher climb. Now, back to the grind. Week 1 against the Colts isn't just a regular opener. It's a tone setter for the whole season. You win that, you build momentum. You lose it, and you're already playing catch up. So here's the question for every Dolphins fan out there. What do you think Miami's record will be after the first 8 games? 6-2, 5-3, or something worse? Drop your predictions below, because how the Dolphins start this season could define how they finish it.